There comes a time in every person's journey when they must choose, will they command people, or will they uplift them? Will they demand obedience or awaken greatness? For the most powerful force in this world is not authority, it is influence born from love, respect, and purpose. A manager says, "Do this because I said so." A leader says, "Let's do this because it matters." One builds compliance, but the other builds commitment. A manager measures performance, a leader develops potential. Anyone can push someone to work, but only leaders ignite passion. A manager uses authority to be obeyed. A leader uses humility to be trusted. People may fear authority, but they follow honesty. A manager manages tasks. A leader shapes people. Leaders don't just chase goals, they grow human beings. A manager sees employees. A leader sees individuals with dreams, fears, and talents. They don't ask, "What can you do for the company?" They ask, "What can the company do to bring out the best in you?" A manager demands results. A leader inspires others to exceed expectations, not because they must, but because they believe. If this message stirred something inside you, if it reminded you that leadership is not a throne, but a responsibility, then carry this truth with you. Lead with purpose, and people will follow with their souls. Because the world doesn't need more managers. The world desperately needs more leaders. If this speech touched your heart even a little, please engage, like, comment, share, and subscribe. It tells the world that inspiration still matters. Before you go, drop a comment and tell us, what kind of leader do you want to be? True leadership focuses on inspiration, not control. Leadership is not measured by how loudly someone gives orders, but by how deeply they inspire others to act with passion and loyalty. People do not follow commands, they follow purpose. When someone controls, others perform only when they are watched. But when someone inspires, others perform even when no one is watching, because the work becomes meaningful to them. Inspiration touches the human heart, and the heart is the strongest engine of action. Every human being wants to feel valued, seen, and appreciated. When a leader recognizes effort, encourages growth, and believes in people even when they doubt themselves, something powerful happens. Motivation transforms into devotion. Inspiration makes people feel like they matter, and the moment a person feels valued, they give more, create more, and become more than they thought they could be. Control may secure obedience, but inspiration unlocks greatness. Human beings naturally resist pressure, but they naturally respond to encouragement. When someone says, "I believe in you," the mind opens, courage rises, and effort becomes voluntary. This is why true leaders do not rely on fear, they rely on belief. They know that every person has potential waiting to be awakened, and they choose to awaken it rather than suppress it. A leader focused on inspiration listens more than they speak. They understand the dreams and struggles of those around them. They guide instead of dictate, teach instead of command, and uplift instead of criticize. Inspiration creates an emotional bond that control can never achieve. People do not give their best to someone they fear. They give their best to someone they respect and trust. When individuals feel inspired by a leader, they start taking ownership of the mission. Not because they are told to, but because they want to contribute to something greater than themselves. Inspiration creates a cycle of growth. The more the leader inspires, the more people improve. The more people improve, the stronger the team becomes. And the stronger the team becomes, the more everyone achieves together. Leadership that inspires becomes unforgettable. Long after titles fade and positions change, people remember the leader who made them feel capable, confident, and important. Control can change actions for a moment, but inspiration can change lives forever. Managers enforce rules, leaders awaken purpose. A manager may say, "Follow the procedure," and people will comply because they have to. But when a leader says, "Here's why this matters," people commit because they want to. Human beings are not machines programmed to follow commands. They are emotional and purpose-driven. They work harder, think smarter, and fight stronger when they believe their efforts have meaning. Rules can guide actions, but purpose fuels passion. When someone understands the deeper value behind their work, the job stops being an obligation and becomes a mission. Purpose taps into identity, and identity shapes behavior more powerfully than pressure ever could. A manager focuses on avoiding mistakes, while a leader focuses on creating impact. Rules restrict, but purpose expands. When people operate under strict rules without understanding the bigger picture, their creativity shrinks and their confidence fades. They worry more about not doing something wrong than doing something great. But when they feel their work contributes to a bigger vision, they begin to see themselves as a vital part of something meaningful. That feeling has the power to transform performance beyond expectation. Leaders awaken purpose by communicating with inspiration rather than authority. They don't just tell people what needs to be done. They tell them why it matters and who will benefit. They make every person feel like their role has value and their contribution has weight. This emotional connection creates a sense of pride and ownership. When someone believes they are important to the mission, they naturally give their best with excitement instead of hesitation. Motivation becomes internal rather than forced. Purpose also builds resilience. When work gets hard, rules are not enough to keep someone going, but purpose is. A person who feels valued and understands their mission does not back down easily. They push forward even when tired, even when challenged, even when others give up. Purpose becomes the fire that keeps them moving. A leader doesn't awaken purpose with grand speeches only, but with simple acts: listening, appreciating, encouraging, and guiding. These actions make people feel seen and understood. Once a person feels connected, their energy changes. Their work becomes art, not duty. Their effort becomes passion, not pressure. And that is why managers may get results, but leaders create believers. A leader listens, guides, and empowers growth. People do not flourish when they are controlled. They flourish when they are understood. Listening is the foundation of leadership because every individual carries untold strength, fears, and ideas that can only be unlocked when someone genuinely pays attention. When a leader listens, they are not waiting to reply. They are trying to understand. They hear what is said and what is not said. They notice the frustrations behind silence and the dreams behind effort. This makes people feel valued, and human psychology proves that those who feel valued naturally rise higher. Listening builds trust, and trust becomes the doorway to growth. Guidance is the next step. A leader does not stand above others giving orders. They walk beside them, offering direction and support. Guidance is not about showing superiority. It is about showing the path. People do not need someone to remind them of their weaknesses. The world already does that. They need someone who believes in their ability to be more. A leader gives hope, clarity, and direction when a person feels stuck. They do not say, "You've failed." They say, "You're learning, and I'm here with you." With this kind of guidance, the impossible begins to look possible. Empowering growth is where leadership becomes transformational. When people start developing confidence, skills, and courage, it is because someone empowered them, not restricted them. Empowerment means trusting people with responsibility, encouraging them to take initiative, and supporting them when they take risks. It means celebrating progress, not just perfection. Every human being wants to grow, and sometimes the only thing holding them back is the fear of failing. A leader removes that fear by creating a safe space to try, make mistakes, and improve. Growth becomes a shared journey rather than a lonely struggle. When a leader listens, guidance becomes accurate. When they guide, empowerment becomes effective. This cycle builds strong minds, strong teams, and strong futures. People do not just work harder, they work happier. They begin to discover their strengths, overcome their limitations, and realize that they have far more potential than they ever believed. Leadership rooted in listening, guidance, and empowerment makes people feel like they are not just part of a system, but part of something bigger. Under this kind of leadership, people bloom, not because they were forced to, but because someone gave them the light, space, and belief to grow. Trust and compassion build stronger teams than authority alone. Human beings are not inspired by fear forever. At some point, the mind becomes tired of pressure and the heart shuts down. A person may obey authority because they have to, but they give their full effort only when they feel cared for. Trust is the bridge that connects people to a mission, and compassion is the fuel that keeps that bridge strong. When team members know they will not be judged for every mistake, but guided toward improvement, they become more confident and more willing to try. They start to experiment, learn, innovate, and perform without hesitation. Trust gives people freedom, and freedom unlocks their best work. Compassion does not mean lowering expectations. It means understanding the human behind the expectation. Every individual goes through pressure, stress, and personal battles that are not always visible. A compassionate leader remembers that the strongest workers have weak moments too, and instead of criticizing during those moments, they support. This emotional safety reduces fear and increases loyalty. When someone knows that they will not be abandoned during difficulty, they give everything they have when they are strong again. That is how loyalty becomes unbreakable, not through power, but through care. Authority may get tasks done, but trust creates ownership. When individuals trust their leader, they don't just complete tasks, they protect the mission. They step up without being asked. They work not just for the role, but for the relationship. Trust turns a group of people into a united team rather than disconnected employees. It gives each person the courage to communicate honestly, admit weaknesses, ask for help, and show initiative. When communication flows freely, problems get solved faster, creativity increases, and conflicts reduce effortlessly. Compassion deepens this unity further. Small gestures, asking how someone is really doing, recognizing effort, appreciating progress, or giving support during a personal struggle, have the power to change morale completely. People don't forget the leader who stood by them when times were hard. Even years later, they remember how it felt to be treated as a human being, not a number. That emotional memory becomes fuel for long-lasting loyalty and dedication. Trust gives direction, compassion gives connection. Together, they create teams that don't break under pressure, don't compete against each other, and don't give up easily. They stand together because they feel they belong. They work hard because their hearts are involved, not just their hands. Authority demands performance, but trust and compassion inspire excellence. Leadership is a responsibility of service, not dominance. True leaders do not rise by placing themselves above others, but by lifting others higher. People don't remember how powerful a leader was. They remember how that leader made them feel. When leadership becomes a service, every action shifts from, how can they benefit me, to, how can I help them succeed? This mindset changes the environment instantly. Pressure turns into support, competition turns into collaboration, and fear turns into trust. Human beings are wired to respond to those who care for them. And when someone feels genuinely supported, they perform with more dedication than any command could ever produce. Serving as a leader means being the first to take responsibility and the last to take credit. It means guiding others without needing applause and celebrating their success more than your own. A leader who serves sees strength in empowering others rather than controlling them. They are not afraid to watch people grow, because real leaders don't fear being overshadowed. They know that their greatness is reflected in the greatness of the people around them. When individuals feel supported and valued, they unlock drive, courage, and talent that cannot be forced out through authority. Dominance may control behavior temporarily, but service inspires commitment permanently. People do not fight for someone who intimidates them. They fight passionately for someone who protects, encourages, and believes in them. Humans naturally give more to relationships rooted in care rather than fear. A leader who serves creates loyalty that titles can't buy. Team members don't just stay because they need the job. They stay because they believe in the leader and the mission built together. Serving in leadership also means being emotionally present. It means noticing when someone is struggling, even if they don't say it. It means listening deeply, appreciating sincerely, guiding patiently, and correcting kindly. Leaders who serve understand that mistakes are part of learning and growth. Instead of punishment, they offer lessons. Instead of embarrassment, they offer dignity. Instead of pressure, they offer encouragement. And in return, people become stronger, more confident, and more committed. Leadership through service transforms the culture around it. Work stops feeling like an obligation and becomes an opportunity. Tasks stop feeling like burdens and become stepping stones. People stop feeling like replaceable workers and start feeling like valued contributors. When leadership is rooted in service, everyone grows, everyone wins, and everyone rises together. Every person has the potential to lead by example, not position. Leadership is not locked inside a title, office, or authority badge. It lives inside character. The world is full of people with high positions and low influence, and people with no position but tremendous influence. It is not the rank that makes people follow. It is the behavior. A person who leads by example inspires without saying a word. When others see dedication, honesty, courage, kindness, and work ethic in action, they naturally feel motivated to rise to the same standard. Human psychology responds to what it observes repeatedly, and consistent actions create silent inspiration more powerful than commands. Leadership by example begins with self-discipline. People watch how you work, how you speak, how you react under stress, and how you treat others. When someone remains kind even when frustrated, determined even when tired, and ethical even when no one is watching, they become a source of respect. Individuals do not need a leadership position to influence others. They just need to show what integrity looks like. Influence built through character does not require permission. It naturally grows because people trust what they see more than what they hear. Leading by example means doing the things you want others to do. If someone wants a team to be punctual, they arrive early. If they want others to communicate honestly, they speak truthfully. If they want commitment, they demonstrate commitment. Actions communicate expectations more clearly than lectures ever could. When someone sees a person working hard, staying humble, and treating others fairly, they instinctively admire them. Admiration creates inspiration, and inspiration turns into influence. This kind of leadership also makes people feel safe. A person who leads by example does not demand perfection from others while excusing their own flaws. They show that growth is a journey and that effort is honorable. They make it acceptable to try, learn, and improve without fear of judgment. People feel drawn to those who show both strength and humanity. It proves that success is possible without sacrificing empathy or integrity. Potential for leadership already exists in everyone. In parents guiding children, in students supporting classmates, in friends helping friends, in coworkers lifting each other up. Leadership begins when a person decides to be the standard, not just speak about it. One positive action can influence many, and one strong role model can change a culture. When individuals lead with their behavior, they create inspiration that spreads quietly but powerfully, lighting the way for others to follow.